The movie was just bad. No good actor could save it. And they're always commenting on what I said about slavery. On the slavery comment, every race on Earth was a slave at one time. Back to the movie. Now let me stop for a second. I'll stop on that one. I find it weak-minded when a person decides to take a somebody's point. I'm gonna get off the subject for a second. We're not talking about the movie right now. Whenever if somebody's talking about slavery or whatever in this country, especially if you're talking to a black person, somebody's talking about slavery in this country, don't just cite that for millions or thousands of whatever, for thousands of years that there's been slavery. Yeah, everybody, that's just true. And there's been a lot of other countries that have experienced slavery. There's sex trafficking stuff going on right now. But the topic I was talking about was on this. Don't just up and change it. You went to that. You went to kind of ding me or bash me on that, making that little comparison. And I don't even remember what I said. But if I used an analogy, I used an analogy. I think I was talking about like that whole thing where people want to tip the scale instead of getting equality. They want to tip the scale. Oh, well, now you gonna be a slave for 200 years now and whatnot. What has somebody said to you over the years that got you so bent out of shape? Are you tired of it? Are you in somebody's hood right now and every black person you bump into go, remember slavery, remember slavery, remember slavery? You just go, ah! Are you so? Because that wasn't about me. I'm gonna be honest with you right there. You came out of nowhere to just. I made an analogy about tipping scales, and you was just like, I am sick and tired of these Negro black people. I'm just playing with you, man. Bringing up slavery. Every race were slaves at some point. If you believe that Africa is the cradle of civilization, that means it means we all came from the same place. So technically, yeah, every race was slaves. But you're talking about on the historical part of it. The Egyptians enslaved the Jews. Yeah, okay. There's been a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of slavery in history. Okay, but what country were we living in though? And what analogy was I making? See, that goes to my other point that I made about Kaepernick. He got on that knee because he wanted to protest what he didn't like about police brutality. People didn't like that, like feeling bad. That person that brutalized that guy looks like my uncle, or my uncle's a cop, or I'm a cop, or somebody. So he must be attacking me. No, just bad actors. Don't act bad like that. There's one bad apple spoils a bunch. That's what he's talking about. There's bad people in all kinds of professions. CEOs of companies, janitors. If you're a bad person at heart, you're a bad person at heart. Just because if I find racism, if I bump into a racist who's a janitor, am I calling every janitor a racist? Come on, man, you got to be smarter. You got to be able to defend yourself. And then on top of that, I wasn't even talking to you directly. So for you to give me this comment and just go straight off the look, for one, let me just listen, anonymous black guy who has his own YouTube channel and saying things. I am sick and tired of you guys. You've already started off the conversation really bad. Like, I'm just trying to help you. I'm playing with you right now. I don't take anything personal. I like playing. So I'm really, this is how I would be talking to you if we were face to face. I was just trying to mess with you a little bit. Don't do that, bro. You got a problem with when black people bring up slavery? Then don't chime in. You ain't gonna make any points. Unless I said, let's just say, let's pretend like your name is John. I'm gonna say John. I'm gonna say, man, this is like slavery all over again, John, and it's all your fault. Then you can say, look, dude, everybody has been slaves at one point. Why are you calling me out? But I didn't do that, John. I didn't do that at all. I just made an analogy about people who want to fight for equality eventually. Like I said, what did we learn on The Dark Knight? And this is the thing that Leslie Jones, the mistake that she made. You either live long enough you either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Too much time went by, people bashing on that movie, and she was feeling bad about the product, and then she said something stupid on a tweet. And so the analogy that I made was about that, about people who want to fight for equality, but what they're really doing is they're some people try to tip the scale and try to get revenge and punish people and stuff. So that was the analogy that I was making. So for you to go out of your way to go on the slavery comment, every race on earth was slaves at one point. So back to the movie. Dude, how many people have you been talking to where you feel the need to diminish, well, all lives matter? You were all over the place with that comment, man. That whole thing. Well, let's talk about what you said about slavery. Yeah, tell me what I know. Tell me, educate me. Tell me about slavery. I don't know anything about slavery. I've never been a slave. I know that my great-great-great-great-grandfather, when he was a baby, he was born because of his master, who impregnated one of his slaves, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. When his wife found out, back then, wives couldn't really do much to their husbands back then. Like, so instead of taking her anger out on the husband, she took her anger out on my great-great-great-great-grandfather. I might be messing with these greats, but this is still a story that was passed down through the generations of my family. And she tarred him, poured tar onto him. Not hot tar, melting tar. And he was like 2 or 3 years old, and he thought it was a game. He thought his master was playing a game with him. He comes home covered in tar. And immediately his mom knew exactly what had happened and why it happened, and she knew she couldn't do anything about it. And she cleaned him off, crying her eyes out, bawling like a baby, and trying to clean her baby off. Her half white, half black baby, who it wasn't her fault that he was born. It wasn't his fault. I mean, it wasn't her fault, or it wasn't his fault, the baby's fault. He was born untarred the way he was by this woman who hated the fact that he lived, that he existed. And it wasn't her fault that she had to conceive that child. She loved him. That was her son. But let's call it what it was. It was a sexual assault. It was not consensual. You cannot, as a slave, consent. You're being forced to do everything you're doing. And you have no choice. And if you said anything, you would have got killed. So I know a lot about my family history. So if we want to have a conversation about slavery and my family history, then we can have a conversation about it, because I know a little. I know a lot about a little and a little about a lot of things. So sorry that I had to take it all the way there. But I mean, you're the one with this questionable picture on your thing. So maybe you were a troll, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just a very passionate person. Maybe you're just a Ghostbusters fan. But that was weird though, the way you went back to my little analogy that I made. I thought it was very, very shocking. But at the same time, I'm never going to censor you. I may not believe in what you said, but I will defend to the death your right to say on this channel. Next question.